My name is Esther Wachuku. I'd implore you to subscribe to our YouTube channel at VOP 90.3 FM, and of course across our social media handles, which is on X, on Facebook and Instagram, VOP 90.3 FM. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel at INEC Media, which is ESTIQ MEDIA, ESTIQ MEDIA, INEC Media on YouTube. On Facebook, it's Esther Wachuku. On Instagram, it's Esther Nwaz, ESTANWAZ, and on X is Esther Wachuku at Esther Wachuku. So let's dive right in. One of the first thing I want us to talk about is the Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway project. Now, the reason why I'm starting off with it, because I'm sure on this platform you may have heard conversations on this particular topic, but I still feel that quite a lot of us do not actually basically understand, all right, what this project is all about. Now, a lot of Nigerians have been reacting. Some people reacting based on what other persons have said or how other persons interpreted this whole thing, and they made their own interpretation out of it. But let's have a logical understanding of this Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway, and then of course the concerns, all right, that has generated from the project and why it's happening now, plus businesses that would suffer because of this, that we can highlight it. Okay, now more than a decade after the idea was first mooted, right, the Lagos Calabar Coastal Road project has commenced in a blaze of controversy. The 700-kilometer highway project designed to connect Lagos State to Cross River State through the coastal states of Ogun, Ondo, Delta, Edo, Bayelsa, Rivers and Akwa Ibom has high potential investment value, and it is expected to be delivered in 8 years. However, there are questions surrounding the funding and bidding process, with claims that it lacks transparency. Now, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the 2023 general elections, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, is the one who is leading this campaign. He has questioned the decision to award the contract to Gilbert Chagri's High-Tech Construction Company Limited without meeting the minimum threshold of due procurement process of competitive bidding. Now, Chagri, Atiku also claimed, is a business associate of President Bola Tinubu. In a series of statements, the former vice president challenged the federal government to disclose the total cost of the highway project. He has also questioned the release of 1.06 trillion naira for the pilot phase, or 6% of the project, which begins at Eco Atlantic and is expected to terminate at the Lekki Deep Sea Port. The former vice president estimates that, is excluding the designed train tracks in the middle, the project would cost taxpayers a whopping 8 billion naira per kilometer. Now, in response, all right, to this, the Minister of Works, David Umahi, has refuted allegations that the project bypassed the proper procurement process. He said the contract was awarded to High-Tech, which is Gilbert Chagri's company, whom Atiku Abubakar has said is a close ally or close business associate of President Bola Tinubu. So he's saying that the contract was awarded to High-Tech because of their track record and based on a counter funding rather than public-private partnership arrangement as widely claimed. Umahi likened the coastal project to that of Abuja Makurdi being handled by China Harbour and the road project in Enugu State, where the government is paying 50% counterpart funding. Now, what is the main grouse of Nigerians with this project? I'll start off again with the Minister of Works explanation. The Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, has explained that the redesign of the Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway's original route, which initially included Water Corporation Road but now incorporates the coastal path affecting establishments like Landmark Beach Resort, is necessary to avoid demolishing the extensive infrastructure developed by original planners. Umahi disclosed this during his appearance on a Monitor television program, which is Channels Television's Morning Brief. Now, he said President Bola Tinubu during his tenure as the Lagos State Governor had envisioned the Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway project, leading to the initial design that included Water Corporation Road. However, since then, the area has become developed with the high-rise buildings and other infrastructure. Umahi pointed out that this development led to the necessity of rerouting the highway. I'm going to take that again. there was an initial blueprint, all right? The initial blueprint was the fact that the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway's initial design included Water Corporation Road. But since development occurred in the area with high-rise buildings and other infrastructures, there was now a need to reroute the highway along the coast to prevent the destruction of existing structures, ensuring the preservation of valuable infrastructure for the coastal highway project. Now, this is where the controversy begins, politically speaking, right? A lot of critics claim Umahi is jumping the gun. Now, a lot of other critics too, political analysts and even economic analysts, feel that elections are due in 2027, and for now, the political horizon is still hazy. This could be plans towards 2027. However, let's stay on the fact. Property owners along the route are protesting the notice of demolition of the properties on its right-of-way, and several communities have been affected. The major one is Landmark Beach. It's a high-end resort located on Victoria Island. The owner says the company has invested $200 million in the center, which reportedly attracted 1 million customers in 2023, employs 4,000 workers, and paid 2 billion naira in annual taxes. That is, of course, Paul Onwanibe, who is the CEO, and says the demolition would scare away international investors. Landmark Beach CEO is Paul Onwanibe, and he says that demolition would scare away international investors. He has actually put in almost $200 million. Now, there are other concerns as well, especially in ecology and the environment. Critics point to the cost and alleged failure to adhere to due process, that the bidding was not competitive. In addition, the owners of High Tech, the company that won the bid, reportedly has ties to President Tinubu. Now, under Jonathan, the LCCH was to cost $12 billion and $11.1 billion under former President Muhammadu Buhari. Umahi says the cost has jumped to $13 billion plus. Now, on the positive side, the LCCH can put Nigeria on the global infrastructure map. The LCCH is an acronym for Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. Now, of course, on the positive side, it can put Nigeria on the global infrastructure map, as it will be told the income from users will pay for the cost in 15 years. This is according to Umahi, and that it is a plus that there is a provision to build a rail system in the middle of it. If completed on schedule, it will alleviate Nigeria's huge infrastructure deficit. The African Development Bank calculates that Nigeria requires $100 billion annually over 30 years to bridge this deficit. Now, in the course of this, a lot of questions arose. How many federal roads that are being utilized by Nigerians for their day-to-day activities, for commuting their goods and services across several locations in the country, how many of them have been repaired, and what is their total length that the federal government decided to focus on the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway? Now, as of 2018, right, based on data provided, right, as of 2018, the total length of federal government roads in Nigeria reached 36,000 kilometers. Secondary routes made up around 18,000 kilometers of the total network. Some 17,000 kilometers were trunk routes, while 343 kilometers were branch roads. Now, how many federal roads have been repaired so far in Nigeria? The federal government has released 108.5 billion naira out of the 217 billion naira set aside for the emergency repairs of 260 roads in the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. They include the resurfacing of the Third Mainland Bridge, which of course recently just got opened, construction of the Lekki Deep Sea Road, reconstruction of 2 collapsed bridges in Enugu, and reconstruction of 2 locations on the Onitsha-Owerri Road. Other roads approved for construction include the upgrading of the ongoing Abuja-Kefi-Akwanga-Lafia Road and the dualization of the Lafia Bypass, amongst others. Umahi stated that the released funds show how much the president is willing to invest in infrastructure, adding that no excuses will be tolerated to ensure that roads repaired are adequately done. Other roads as well needs to be considered are the road of the Benin Auchi Road, which is in a total disrepair, a complete death trap. If you notice that there was a recent video that circulated on WhatsApp where we saw a particular truck actually, it fell inside the deep muddy water there. Thank God the driver was safe, but it was a huge truck conveying goods, and a lot of residents within that road. I think on our World News we interviewed a journalist of over 3 decades, and that's Mr. Elvis Elimehele, who gave us a live report of that scene because he's currently in that location. We'll be speaking with him later on in the program. So here it is. After all of this, because I'm answering some questions that a couple of citizens and netizens have been asking, which is, before working on this particular road, why not work on the federal roads? Now, earlier on in 2023, the president had already approved a stipulated amount of money, all right, to repair about 260 roads across the federation. And that's a very huge one because some are already ongoing, some have been completed, some will undergo reconstruction, some will undergo repair. But some basic routes as well have not been attended to, which is basically what forms the grouse or the controversy, amongst netizens and across board with Nigerians, because the federal government released about 108.5 billion naira, all right, out of the 217 billion which was set aside for the emergency repairs of 260 roads in the 36 states of the federation, including the Federal Capital Territory. Now, reacting to this Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, a couple of economic analysts and political critics have responded. Also, political opponents as well and political elites have talked about it. And one of such persons is a presidential candidate in the 2023 general elections, Peter Obi. All right. Now, Dave Umahi, because Peter Obi said that the demolition of this particular resort and other businesses along the axis that the demolition has started at Landmark Beach, the presidential candidate in the Labour Party said that it is not the right time and that a lot of Nigerians will lose their jobs considering the fragile economic standing that Nigeria is currently facing. However, you do know that Dave Umahi actually responded to what Peter Obi said, and he said that Peter Obi is inciting Igbos against President Tinubu's government. I would like us to listen to that because a couple of netizens complained that rather than Dave Umahi responding to the issue on its own, he rather went sentimental. Rather than having to explain properly what the project was all about, he went sentimental, and then he was asked for evidence to prove the statement he made that Peter Obi was inciting Igbos against President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. I want us to listen to Dave Umahi, the Minister of Works, and then, of course, we'll proceed from there with other aspects of our conversation this evening.
Landmark is simply playing politics with, politicians, because there is nothing to claim. It brings me to some of the comments made by my brother, His Excellency Peter Obi. I'm not supposed to comment about it because some people have already done the work, and I saw what Arise brought, to say courtesy channel, and they were bringing, similar scenario when His Excellency Peter Obi was governor, and he made a statement. He said, any infrastructure that stands on the way of road construction must go, and there will be no compensation paid, quote and unquote. That's what he said. But look at me, by the human face of Renewed Hope Agenda Administration, we are even paying for people that are illegally staying on the coastline and do not even have, valid infrastructure and valid documents. That is messy. That is messy. Some people darken counsel without knowledge. There is devil in details. When you bring judgment, when you condemn people, you bring judgment upon yourself. And that's what he has done. And I think he's inciting some of the Southeast people that are not well informed. He's inciting them, and he gets them into trouble, and he doesn't go to fight for them. Wisdom is a defense. We know money is a defense. But wisdom gives life to those that practice it. And I want our people to have wisdom because I'm involved.
All right, Dave.
Now, that was Dave Umahi, the Minister of Works, claiming that Peter Obi of the Labour Party is inciting some Southeasterners, all right, against the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Of course, Peter Obi has come in to respond to that, and he said that he has nothing to gain. He's all about development of the people, development of the country, and ensuring that everyone understands what true governance is all about. Now, in order to make us understand properly, from somebody who is working in the reps committee, that is, there's a committee for environment. They sit down together and make plans, and they talk about this kind of project. Here is Tese Ubo. He is a vice chair, House of Reps committee to the environment. He actually was on Arise television where he responded to some questions, putting, giving a better perspective of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. So let's listen to him.
Well, the truth of the matter is that the EIA, the Environmental Impact Assessment Act, was a decree in 1991 during the military regime. It hasn't been amended or upgraded since then. It's one of the most abused environmental laws in the country, but it's supposed to be one of the most powerful tools to ensure that projects have environmental and social impact assessments before they are executed. So the purpose of the EIA is to ensure that before a project is executed, the cost to the environment is properly analyzed, possible mitigation and adaptation efforts are put in place so that the habitat loss, the loss of the ecosystems and things like that are properly mitigated before the project is executed. And then, of course, the social aspect of it, tourism, job losses and things like that are also considered and valued, in vis-a-vis the worth of the project and the value of that particular project to the economy before it is executed. But unfortunately, like I said, the EIA is a really abused law. It is not oftentimes not really followed by public projects in the country. But it has been followed a few times. If you remember the Calabar Superhighway that the previous administration tried to do, it was blocked because it didn't meet the EIA guidelines. It was going to eat deep into the national park, which is a protected forest area in the country. And because of that, the project was halted completely. It was the EIA that helped to stop that project from going ahead. So yeah, the EIA works, but in this case, I think the value of this project to Nigeria supersedes the costs to the businesses and things like that along that coastal region. And that's why the federal government has decided to go full steam ahead to make sure that this project is executed. And there are some international dimensions to it. Maybe we'll go into that a little bit, because there's the Trans-West African coastal highway that goes from Nigeria to Senegal, or from Senegal to Nigeria, and then from Nigeria all the way to Cameroon to Mombasa in East Africa. And this is a United Nations an AU project. Nigeria is also part of that. And the aspect of the project from Nigeria to Cameroon currently goes through Enugu to Cameroon and then to Douala, Yaoundé, down to East Africa. But that is an old route. So I think the thinking of this project, this project, I think this is 2007 or something, since this project was conceptualized, was that we need to have a new route of coastal routes that takes the pressure off the inland routes that we have in the country, the pressure on the roads inland. So with the coastal route, so the road that comes, the West African coastal route from Senegal, cutting through 12 African countries all the way to Nigeria and then to Cameroon and then to Mombasa, which is in Kenya, needs to pass through this coastal route. And so it has an international dimension for trade, for investment, for a lot of other benefits for Africa as a whole. And so I think those benefits for Nigeria as a country, for trade in this country, for the economy of the country, and for the pressure on the inland routes, from Lagos through Enugu and all the way to Cameroon, supersede whatever value the landmark tourist attractions offer. And that is why the federal government has considered this project to be more important than the tourism project of landmark.
All right. Yes, that.
I'm not sure. I'm not aware if there was approval or a preliminary approval. The minister mentioned it during the exchange.
He wasn't particularly clear about what he said, but I mean,
all is in order.
Yeah, he said all is in order, and due process has been followed.
Yeah.
And when a public servant speaks, we want to take him for his word. Before we crucify him. So he said all is in order, due process has been followed, a preliminary approval has been gotten for the EIA. We hope to see that. These issues are kind of emerging. As a committee, we were just having a discussion a few days ago when this whole thing came to light, that we need to, number one, amend, in fact, repeal and reenact the EIA Act. I've gotten memoranda on that already. So we're working on some adjustment to the EIA, so that it can become more of an ESIA, so that the social aspect is also included in the EIA. We're also considering inviting
environmental social impact assessment.
Environmental and social impact assessment, because it's not just the environmental assessment, but the social impacts too.
Okay.
So we're looking at how we can reform the EIA Act to cover the social aspects of these things. And then as a committee, usually what we do, the executive arm has their policies, they have their vision, and they set up mechanisms to achieve it.
Yeah.
They also allocate funding to achieve these things. But for this aspect, for this particular project, what we are going to do, what we intend to do, is to seek audience with the minister of Works and then the Minister of Environment, so that they can come and provide some clarity to the National Assembly on how well or how far they went towards looking at the environmental impact and social impacts of this project, so that we can be on the same page with the government and we'll be in a better position to defend the actions of government as regards this project. But I'm aware that the government had budgeted 2.7 billion to compensate landmark and other businesses along that route. I know that has started, that is ongoing. I know there's been a lot of engagement. I know the minister also visited landmark to engage with them. So there's been several series of engagements. So sometimes I read in the news that government, like you said, government is bullying its way through, government has not engaged with them. But I think that is not completely accurate, because I know there's been engagement, there's been talks. It's really painful, for landmark to lose this beautiful piece of land where this business is flourishing. Like you mentioned, probably worth over 200 million in investments. The component that is being demolished obviously cannot be the entire project. The entire landmark is probably a section of it. They'll probably lose some business, some revenue, from the aspect that has been demolished. But overall, I think for the interest of Nigeria, for the interest of this project, the benefit of this project, long term, for Nigerians as a whole, and for international trade, for local trade, I think this project is worthwhile. I think it's something that needs to happen. Nigeria has not executed a major project like this for a long time,
Will you consider this to be priority at this time?
Well, if you ask me for my own priorities, speaking personally, I'd have said how many trillion naira should have maybe invested in power. We need power in the country. So that would be my own priority if I was to, conceptualize this. But
So you just listened to, his name is Tese Ubo. He is a Vice Chair, House of Reps Committee on the Environment. And he asked the presenter, his name is Stephen on RIS Television, asked him and said, do you think this is a priority project this time around? And you heard the minister say, well, I would rather suggest that we use that particular amount of money on what? Power. So that is the vice chair on House of Reps Committee on the Environment, which is what a lot of Nigerians are saying at this time. Is this a priority project? Now, the idea is this on the political spotlight. We don't want to base anything on sentiment. We want to be factual in all of this. And that's why I'm bringing the perspective of the government and what they're saying now. I'm not talking about what is in between the words that are being said. We're talking about what the government is factually saying that is out there, and of course how Nigerians feel towards this project. So I'm going to read out actually some tweets, and I'm first of all going to start off with Rufai Oseni. Rufai Oseni pointed out some very critical questions, which a lot of Nigerians actually felt like these are the viable questions that is worth asking. Because, like I said earlier, when we look at the scenario and what has been happening so far, or how Nigerians interpreted all of this, there are different back and forth. But the critical question to ask in this whole situation is, how ready are we for development? That's number one. Number two, without sentiment or whatever political affiliation anyone has towards this administration, if we critically look at what the minister is saying and what this administration intends to do, are we not considering the potential benefit of this? Then on the side of the people, with how hard the economy is and how, would I say, constrained a lot of things are, and the government saying they do not have money, would they consider this to be the priority, all right, within the administration now? Okay, so according to Rufai Oseni, he tweeted, "Why was the coastal road moved from its original alignment along the Water Corporation Road to the beachfront, where there are 57 active businesses, thousands of jobs and millions of dollars worth of infrastructure? The original route remains unused and undeveloped till date. B. Why were properties not previously marked for demolition and outside the right-of-way demolished after the federal government's refusal to realign the route despite landmarks' pleas to save the infrastructure, businesses and jobs on the landmark beach? Why was the route later realigned to save infrastructure along the right-of-way after demolition at landmark had already taken place? 2. Due process. Why was a contract of such magnitude awarded to a single contractor without a competitive bidding process as confirmed by the Federal Minister of Works? And of course, why was a contract with such significant environmental and social impact commenced without the environmental and social impact assessment as required by law? C. High-Tech, the construction company that was awarded the contract for the road, Works is owned by the Chogri Group, who also own Eco Atlantic. Now, these are the political inclinations in all of this going on, all right? Now, the owner of Chogri Group, Gilbert Chogri, is also a known personal friend of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Did this personal relationship play a role in awarding the contract to High-Tech without a competitive bidding process? D. The Federal Minister of Works and members of the ministry have been lodged in Eco Hotel and building official federal government stakeholder meetings in Eco Hotel while on official assignment for the road. It is worth noting that the owner of Eco Hotel is also Chagri Group, who is ultimately covering the cost for the federal government's stay at the luxury 4-star hotel and conduct official government meetings. This is as opposed to the Ministry of Works office in Lagos. Why was there no stakeholder engagement or consultation, especially with impacted businesses, before the right-of-way was finalized and notice of demolition? These are the questions Rufai Oseni, of course, who works with Arise Television, and he's one of our in-house analysts here, is actually giving these questions to all of this. The reason why I'm talking about is that we need to have a comparative, will I say, logical analysis to this particular situation. I'm going to be calling an economic analyst and of course one who actually understands how works buildings and environmental social impact on some infrastructural developments in the country are going. I'm going to be speaking with somebody who is very, very well informed in that regard to help us give a better perspective on some of these things and let us know where we're heading. Now, also reacting to what Rufai Oseni said, there were quite a number of responses. People are asking for the viability of this project, and if people really understand the concept of this project, how far and how long this project will take. So here is what some people gave as a summary. His name is Cyril Onyekachi. Route realignment. The coastal road was moved from its original alignment to the beachfront despite existing businesses and infrastructure. Meanwhile, the original route remains unused. Properties not marked for demolition were demolished even if they were outside the right-of-way. Despite pleas to save infrastructure, businesses and jobs, the route was later realigned after demolition had already occurred at Landmark Beach. And of course, others are talking about due process issues. Now, a particular Chud Nnamdi on X also said that do Nigerians, that is what he's asking anyone who doesn't really understand what is going on. He says, has anyone seen the full plan of the Lagos-Calabar coastal road? How do they plan to maneuver the delta and swampy lagoons of the creek of the Niger Delta coastal areas, especially the point where River Niger emptied into the Atlanta Ocean in Ogidigbe, Fokado, and Agege community? Has anyone asked these questions? Those are large expanses of water. Can they bridge it all? These are sincere questions. He went ahead to say that River Niger alone has over 35 tributaries in Bayelsa and Delta State alone. Do you know what that means? That's over 35 long bridges to be constructed. Anybody who knows these terrains very well will question the realism of this Lagos-Calabar coastal road project. Now, this is not politics, according to him. Bridging these terrains is not a joke. The Nigerian government, we know, can't bridge these terrains in the next 50 years. Dave Umahi gave an estimated period of time. But however, Chid Nnamdi is having to go deep into this. These are basically the questions that have been asked by a lot of Nigerians, that this project is way too big, gulp huge trillions of dollars, and to what end and why now, when there are pre-existing problems that needs immediate solution, pre-existing problems that are quite, important to the well-being of Nigerians now that there are a lot of clamors for development in every sector of the Nigerian economy. That, of course, is one of the conversations that we need to look into it. I needed to give a background info on this. Now, moving, a little bit ahead of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, there was a particular social media video that circulated. I think that's concerning what transpired in Mende, Maryland. And when this video came out, people were like, what is going on? Why would the federal government or the state government put Nigerians through this hardship, right? I want to play that video first, and then I also want to play to you the Commissioner of Environment's response to all of this. So again, remember I told you we are not adding sentiments to this. We want to logically look into all of this, and we will now you will give logical recommendations as to how some of these issues will be handled. So let's first of all listen to this.
Happening right now at Mende Villa 1. Mende Villa 1. Happening right now. 2 hours to pack out. 2 hours. That was what the Lagos State government gave. 2 hours to pack out. And they are here, they are demolishing. Mende Villa. This is in Maryland. 2 hours, now they give us to take back out. 2 hours. This is in Nigeria we are in. 2 hours they gave to pack out of us. Where do we want to put all these things to? Look, this is our property. Not only us, so many people. The vehicles everywhere. Parking. 2 hours. 2 good hours. Nigeria, my country. People are jagbaing. They said they should not jagba. 2 hours, Lagos State. God go bless you now. God go bless you now.
All right, let's also take a listen to some residents during the demolition and what they had to say.
That
That is very, very wrong. It's very wrong. No notice, no marking, nothing. It is wrong. I mean, if this is a government that cares, they shouldn't have done this. They shouldn't wait. Even the commissioner also confirmed that we were still engaging. And there was nothing that will be done until we finish the engagement. Why did they go ahead? And the commissioner was trying to stop them from bringing down that wall. Why did they still go ahead to do it?
The Lagos State government has come to carry out demolition works. I'll call it demolition works because it is not a lawful demolition of structures. A lawful demolition of structures will only take place when there is a contravention of any of the substantive provisions of the law and when a developer did not obtain the requisite approvals prior to the development of the structures.
The Lagos State, they just came with their caterpillar to demolish without demolition notice. And I've been giving them, I went to 2 years ago, when they came for this demolition, that they want to do this canal, I went to their office at Alausa. I gave them my approval and the paper that I have. They told me it's not going to have a fence. They've seen it when I'm doing it. They come and visit all the time. They didn't talk about drainage permit. So they never come. I finished the house like December of this year. On the Tuesday, the next day, which is on the 16th of April, they demolished all the house. It's a brand new house. I just built it.
Never did I think that today will happen. A day where the government turned its back on us and deafened the ears. I was literally begging the commissioner that even if you are going to take this place down, give us time.
All right. Now, before I play what the Lagos State Commissioner for Environment said in reaction to this, his name is Tokunbo Wahab. Here is the fact, all right, contrary to claims by building occupants of demolished buildings in Mende, Maryland in Lagos. Now, the structures in Mende, Maryland, Lagos, which was marked for demolition or being slated for removal, has been since 2022. In September 2022, news outlets, all right, and that is famous news outlets, reported that the Lagos State government planned to demolish marked structures in Mende and Aboru due to flooding concerns. Now, you recall that on September 15, 2022, 9 people were rescued from a sinking building at 45 Akinyemi Street, Akinwumi Estate, Mende, Maryland, Lagos. The government's decision to demolish the marked structures sparked controversy, with some popular singer like Yemi Alade criticizing the move as exacerbating the plight of citizens by leaving them homeless. However, again, it is essential to note that the demolition plans have been in place since 2022 and occupants were likely aware of the impending demolition. The government's actions may have, may be aimed towards preventing further disasters like the sinking building incident in 2022 and other environmental issues. This is just basically what the government said is the reason for that demolition. I'm sure you heard one of the residents saying that despite the Commissioner of Environment telling them not to break that particular wall, they went ahead. So let's listen to Tokunbo Wahab during a very important interview on Arise Television. Let's listen to his take.
I remove contraventions on the right of way of the drainage system or the canals. And with respect to Mende, in 1974, General Mobolaji Johnson, as the governor of Lagos State, or Milad of Lagos State, gazetted the Odoyalaro right of way on both sides of Mende and Ogudu. In 2021, my predecessor in office, Honorable Mr. Tunji Bello, served them a notice and they had engagements that ran into months and years. In November 2023, we called the stakeholders meeting. We served notices before then. We had even marked buildings on the right of way. And they came to my office with the honorable member representing Koshofe constituency, Honorable Kolawon. We had a meeting. We played the video. And they did admit that yes, they are on the right of way. However, they were pleading that we should reduce the right of way for Oduyalaro from 230 to even 60 on both sides, making 30-30. And we said it's not possible because a bridge by Julius Berger is running through that corridor to open up the space and the infrastructure provision. And so we have to enforce. That was 23rd of November last year. Afterwards, the engagement continued. The notices were served again. So they started removing the contravention 2 weeks ago. But Mende Villa sent in some documents. And I said to those on the field, and the two PAMSECs, I'm glad Engineer Mahmoud Adebite and Dr. Gaji said, let us go back there. Let us go and revisit and look at the documents. Last week, Sunday, we went there in the morning. We had an engagement that was not conclusive. Meanwhile, all the other properties on that same alignment, they were removing them. I said, stop on Mende Villa. Let us go back to the office. People with institutional knowledge are still in the system. Two of them were mentioned, Engineer Fashino and Engineer Taiwo. We asked them to come to the office. They briefed us. And we said, let us go back to Mende Villa yesterday. On the issue of notices, there have been served enough notices. We were there yesterday, and they said to them, by the way, this developer...
Sorry, sir, by enough notices, can you let us know when those notices were served and how many?
In 2021, renewed again in 2023, 6 months ago. In my first life, I was a lawyer. Notices are the fulcrum of any activity, and we had served those notices. I am sure of that, because I had to ask for the file. I had to say to them, go back and serve again last year, November, after we met with them in my office. And those places were marked. So
the notices, sorry to cut you short, what did he say? Remove those illegal structures?
Remove these properties sitting on the right of way for Systems 1, Oduyalaro, and we marked the properties. The reason why we had to go back, now let me also say this. The place called Mende Villa is a very massive expanse of land and estates. So the first survey showed they are sitting right inside Oduyalaro. But the document they paraded showed that they were given a setback of between 15 and 18 meters to Oduyalaro. So take the measurements. We even sent in a surveyor on Monday. Surveyor came back with the report. And we went back yesterday. We said to them, you are sitting right inside, but not all the properties. The ones to your right may have to be removed to allow Systems 1. And I'm glad your reporter was there. We went outside their compound and we said, look at this alignment yourself and take the shots. If we are wrong, let the public decide. Now, people can go and say they will not serve notices. I'm not the developer, I'm not the landlord, but I know those landlords met with government. The meetings were recorded, and they did admit that, yes, they should give him more time. More time, 6 months, if it's not enough, then 6 years will probably not be enough. Now, let us also draw the line, Steve. The difference between the developed country and the developing country and underdeveloped country is the enforcement of laws and orders, not the poetry of your vision or the prose which you speak about them. It's about you being able to enforce your laws, enforce your regulations, and let there be consequences for actions. Nigerians are brazen. Developers are brazen. Both the rich and the poor. Else, how will you go build on the channel, a main channel that can flood the whole of the mainland, and you are still grandstanding with documents from government file? How did you come about it? In a good climb, that man should be asked questions. Let us even leave
the government be asked questions.
That was Tokumbo Wahab giving a better perspective of what transpired in Mende, Maryland. But I think the question a lot of Lagosians right now are asking is, why does it seem like when things are really hard, these things continue to commence. The reason why I talked about this is that there are a lot of sentimental attachment to what is currently going on. And we already know the stifling, grinding, choking economy at this moment. So this displaced Lagosians, where would they stay? You heard the first video where the lady said they were given just 2 hours. The Commissioner of Environment actually stated that they were still talking. There were still conversations were still ongoing before, the demolition began. So, and of course, they said some persons, where those who own some of those buildings did not really have the adequate, license or approval to have their buildings situated there. And according to him, he's saying that there is something going on. Somebody who is not in the government, or someone who is not in the Lagos state government, who is not acting in any official capacity, has confidential files from the Lagos state government. So he's asking, where did that person get those confidential files? In as much as the person feels that this was authenticated from somebody from the commissioner, from the Environment Commission or sector that had licensed them to build in that area. So would we say that people within the government are the ones that sabotage themselves and sabotage the people? If you do know that there is an original plan, why would you grant somebody any approval to build on the right of way when you know or read from the original plan that that would be blocking drainages? And now the rains are coming, those areas will be flooded, persons will be displaced, and some persons may even die because some homes will literally be filled up with so much water. So this is basically the conversation, and that is why I want us to talk about it here. Actually, I would have loved us to give a proper comprehensive breakdown of all of this, but your calls are needed, specifically those of you at Mende, Maryland. If any one of you is going through this ordeal or was there live to experience all of this, I would implore you to call into the program to possibly share your perspective. Now, before I call in my analyst, the final topic I want to talk about is concerning the former presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, who said that it was the establishment of criminality that made the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, servers not work during the last presidential election. He insisted that the people must one day make it work and explained that Amazon testified that there were no glitches recorded globally on the day of the presidential election. The former Anambra State governor made the statement on Friday in Canada while he was addressing the issues about the last general election, including the RF servers. Okay, now he was on a thank you tour to appreciate Nigerians living in the country for their support offered him during the 2023 campaign general elections. And so he said, and I read, "Where did we go wrong in the last election? We didn't go wrong anywhere. We did the right things, but as I can always tell people, when you bring a change, you fight all those who live off the old order. They don't go away, they gang up. They don't think it's a straight race to remove an establishment. It's a long distance journey anywhere, whether you are looking at what happened in India with Mandela in South Africa or America. No change has happened overnight. It takes time. I urge all of you, if you really want change, we have just begun. We just have to continue from where we are. Yes, there might be one or two things we will correct. Those things we will correct. I assure you we are correcting them without naming them. It is not going to be easy. The INEC server was the same as the establishment. The server would not work because it was the establishment that made it so it wouldn't work. It's ours to continue to say that it would work, but there was no glitch. Amazon came and said there was no glitch. Amazon glitch is noticed globally. It's recorded globally. And at that period, we brought down an Amazon person who said this, that the number of glitches we have had since inception, that there has been no glitches at all. And there was none that it reported that day. We know it didn't occur. It was a glitch of the establishment criminality that was in the system, and we must one day make it work. This was what Peter Obi said in that particular thank you tour to Nigerians in Canada who helped during the campaign in 2023. So it's now time for us to speak with our analyst this evening, who will be helping us to divert some of these issues. Like I said, we'll try to logically look at things, sieve out the speculations from the real deal, from the facts to sentiments, and of course the would I say, the consequences of some of these policies and actions of the federal government and the state government. There are quite a lot of reactions to that. Actually, have via the telephone Mr. Elvis Elimehele. He's one person who is currently in Edo. He would actually give us a rundown of some federal roads that have not yet been working and the viability of this Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway project being initiated by the federal government within the administration of President Bola Tinubu. Mr. Elvis, good evening, and thank you for joining me on the Political Spotlight.
Good evening, yes. How are you doing?
I am fine. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's kick off with the LCCH. That's the Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway. I gave a breakdown of what it was all about and one of the economic impact of this and the why now. Why is it a pressing factor to consider now, considering a lot of challenges that Nigerians are facing? Let's hear your take.
Yeah, it's not like I was telling you that day.
Yes.
That road, as far as I'm concerned, is not a priority to Nigerians this time. This government is less than 1 year, some few weeks to 1 year. One would have thought that some of those existing roads that they campaign with, that they were going to, bring the renewed hope to Nigerians.
Mr. I'm sorry, where are you? There are activities at your background. Can you step away from that place?
Yeah, I'm stepping out of there now.
Thank you very much. All right,
can you hear me better now?
Yes, I can hear you. It's just the clanging and of stuff behind at the background that was quite distorting. Continue.
Yeah, I think it's better now.
Yes, it's better. Please go ahead.
So like I was saying, one would have expected that the renewed hope agenda of this government, is targeted and directed squarely at, alleviating the suffering of Nigerians, directly. But unfortunately, the Lagos Calabar Coastal Road is not part of those that will alleviate Nigerian suffering in the next 3-4 years, because that road will not have been completed. So I was expecting that this government will take time, to fix the existing road that Nigerians commute on daily. You like I told you earlier, I traveled on Thursday from my town to Benin, then for a meeting, and from Benin on Friday, I left for Delta. So between Benin to Warri, then from Warri to Asaba, I've seen so much, bad road, portions of the East-West road that are not passable. There was a place at the East-West road that after 30 minutes in the hold-up, I have to turn back because the road was not passable. So some of these ones are some of the roads I thought this government would have paid priority attention to. I have to drive from Kwale, through Kwale to Asaba yesterday night. By this time yesterday, I was still on that road. That road, they are fixing it, but so many bad portions still on that road. So I don't know why priorities have been placed so much on Lagos Calabar Coastal Road. I mean, I think we have to ask the minister and this government if there is any ulterior motive. Look at the number of, the amount of compensation they are going to pay, as regard properties on that axis that are going to be destroyed. Billion, yes, billion.
But that is not
and Esther, you will agree with me.
Compensating.
It's not even enough.
Whose
it's not even enough. Yes, I remember we are talking about 700-kilometer road. So along that track, all through till it gets to Calabar, they are going to be paying compensation. All this money that are going to be used for compensation, why don't you use it to fix the existing road that Nigerians commute on daily? I just got to my town now from Benin. A journey of less than 1 hour took me almost 2 hours now, because that road has become a death trap. I mean, you saw the viral video last week, where a tanker, carrying product of 65,000 liters of petrol capsized at Moscow Junction at Eboma. You can imagine such thing. So This is what we witness on Nigerian roads daily. So I think
but
this
Mr.
government
Elvis,
has to.
let's head on to the nitty-gritty of it. Do you think there is any political undertone in this? What Nigerians are complaining about is the fact that, number one, the bidding process, there was no bidding process. It was granted to somebody considered to be an ally of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Two, there are also sentiments to the fact that the possibly the Eco Atlantic, which of course is being built by this administration, or possibly the administration has a huge stake in, does not want any competition at all. For example, like the landmark resort. And so this is a way to ensure that none of the competition takes place. Three, the question was, there was an original blueprint on how this road would go. What happened and why the rerouting? Other questions came in as to the fact that why didn't they start from Calabar? Why starting here? And then what is the viability of this project being completed within this dispensation? Let's say 4 years or even 8 years if the president contests again in 2027 and he wins. That is the question a lot of Nigerians are asking, and that financially it's going to really eat deep into the purse of the Nigerian treasury. So the question again is, who stands to really benefit from this in the grand scheme of things, regardless of the fact that job opportunities will be given to a lot of people? That's the question a lot of people want answers to. If you look at the routes where this coastal highway will be built, if you look at the River Niger, even towards that Calabar, then the questions that are being asked is, how would it take place along those routes? If you look at the mapping of it, that's basically the question. So what's your take on it as fast as we go?
Yeah, this road is a high caliber road, and it's going to cost the federal government so much. I don't even know the priority that the government placed on it. Many, like you said, the feelers is that the president has special interest in this road. That is why it's starting from Lagos. Remember the Lagos Free Trade Zone?
Yes.
I mean, they who is who in this government have properties along that corridor. So it's like they want to use this road, to link up their properties to make them so viable.
Yeah.
Not just because of you and I, Esther, because this road in the next 4-8 years may not have been completed. But what I'm thinking that this administration is trying to do is that they want to make sure that they quickly cover the areas that have to do with their properties. This road was not initiated by this government, no. Jonathan's government has thought about this road before Buhari came in. But it was abandoned throughout the Buhari's administration because Buhari did not see anything good in. So now that President Tinubu has come in and he has now decided that he wants to quickly fast track it, the Nigerians were expecting that, okay, the normal bidding process for contracts would have been followed. There are due process for this. Okay, you raise the bid, advertise it, let competent contractors come and compete for the roads. But unfortunately, we saw that it's given to High Tech, which Nigeria knows the relationship between the owner of High Tech and the president of Nigeria. So all these are shady issues that Nigerians are expecting that this government have to clear from and make Nigerians understand. Why releasing this kind of huge money to pay compensation? Why releasing this kind of huge money to start a project that will not be beneficial to Nigeria in the next 4 years, the first 4 years tenure of this administration? Because nobody can fly that road anywhere within the next 4 years when there are existing roads that are not flyable by Nigeria because of the bad nature of the road. So we have so much question to ask the Minister for Works and even the President, by extension, the President himself. And starting in Lagos also is another issue. If you want to talk of, the goose that lays the golden egg, one would have even expected that let it start from the Niger Delta. This is where the money is coming from. Begin this project in Calabar. Let's begin to move it down to Lagos. Then let it be that it has served all the Niger Delta states, especially. Then connect it with the East-West Road. The East-West Road that have been abandoned for more than 12-15 years. Why don't you connect it as link it with it? But nobody is saying that. He has started it in his own corridor, which is Lagos, which you all know how the president, prides himself so much as a Lagosian, and he has started it here to the extent that even the demolition that is taking place on the houses of Lagos is becoming so prompt. So one wonders if this government can be so efficient in, initiating projects, no bidding,
in demolition.
Yes, no bidding, awarding it, no bidding, you award it, then commencement immediately. Then why don't you use the same lightning speed that you are using in this project for other projects that will alleviate Nigeria's suffering. Look at all the palliative Nigerians have been crying for since May 29. It has not come, but none has come up. Then look at the crying insecurity Nigeria has been crying of since. I mean, it's not abating. It's not abating. But this lightning speed, this project, got initiated, got kicked off, and I mean, it calls for suspicion. And that's why Nigerians are asking questions. What is the relevance of this project to Nigerians? A project that this government may not even complete in their 8 years. Then, when it is abandoned, all the money that will have siphoned into it will just be stuck.
And another administration comes on board again to make complaints about the money that had cost the government or cost the people, and make another. Wow.
I mean, another administration will come in and not see the viability of that project, and they will
decide to leave it.
We have seen so many. Yeah, and decide to leave it, and we have seen so many of such projects in Nigeria. But when you abandon it, one will now begin to think of what happened to all these trillions that would have been pumped into that project before the abandonment. So I was expecting that this government should have been thinking of more welfareistic projects for Nigerians that will alleviate this suffering Nigerians are going through on daily basis, on the road, in their home, in schools, in hospital. Those are the things we are supposed to be talking about now. I would have also expected that complete the already existing projects that have been, contracts that have been awarded by subsequent government. This is the same APC to APC. It's not another political party that took over. So one would have expected that, okay, the projects that are his predecessor and contracts he awarded that have not been completed, complete them so that these projects can open up. Nigerians can now commute freely. When you commute freely, Esther, this farm produce that has become a cost of food, that has become an issue now in Nigeria, people can move their goods from the hinterland to the urban centers, and the price will definitely gradually reduce. Unfortunately,
Mr. Elvis, yes, Mr. Elvis, in regards to exactly what you're saying, we're talking about other viable sectors that the government ought to have concentrated on to alleviate the pains of Nigerians. Since May 29, when the president announced that fuel subsidy has been removed, and the subsequent pains that Nigerians have gone through, or the consequences of that announcement, and Nigerians have paid dearly. I don't know, you've not been in Lagos, but for the past 2 weeks, we've been experiencing few queues at several dispensing outlets. In fact, some dispensing outlets are not dispensing, they're shut. And the excuse they are giving actually is not something that is meant to be an excuse for a country that has petrol as its natural resource, or has crude oil as its natural resource. Now, there is a hike in tariff, that is, electricity tariff has been hiked. This, of course, generated quite another conversation in the course of the week. And of course, fake news, disinformation, the NSA saying that social media needs to be censored and properly regulated to avoid disinformation and fake news circulating around, considering the fragile or vulnerable nature of our democracy and our economy. There are a lot of salient issues that actually occurred, in the country, and the one would have expected the government to focus on as its priority, beside this whole Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway. But in regards to that of Lagos, because when I open the phone lines, I want a lot of residents along that axis to actually call. Now, they say the state government, or the Commissioner of Environment, Tokunbo Wahab, is saying that there were conversations since 2022. In fact, before he came on board, these individuals have been notified about it. They've been having conversations about it. And then all of a sudden, this demolition kicked off, and it feels like the state government did not give any prior notification. Now, you're talking about the fact that with this accelerated process they do in demolition, they do not give compensation afterwards. Would we say the problem is with the people that grant these licenses or approve these lands and portion of lands to people without possibly going through the right channel? Or they go through the right channel and somehow the state government changes their mind at the last minute? Don't you think this would discourage investment opportunities in Lagos State?
Yeah, Esther, what I'm seeing in that demolition, that video is, first of all, is pathetic. It's just like treating the Sifton instead of the AMS. You don't rush to site to go and demolish residential building people are living in. There should be negotiation. You do your in-house work. Who are the town planners or town planning officials that approved this project before that building was put up? People approved it. People gave out that place as residential to the buyer and the builder of those projects. One would have expected that the office was first of all sanitize itself of these people who are bringing this hardship upon Nigeria before rolling out bulldozer to begin to pull down structures people are living in. Not even this kind of economy that we are going through. People cannot feed. People cannot even, afford daily. They're adding to it. Hello, people cannot afford daily living, and you are adding to their stress. One of the first functions of a good government is the welfare of the citizen. Are we seeing it in this? I saw that video. I was crying within my heart. How can you throw people out on the street with this kind of situation Nigerians are going through? Where do you ask them? Where would they be? How would they raise money to get another accommodation? So Wahab, the Commissioner for Physical Planning and Environment and School Planning, ought to have looked at his ministry. Commissioner for Environment.
Yes.
Also have looked into his ministry. Who are those that approve this type of building that contravene the master plan of Lagos that is leading to this? Weed off these elements in your ministry. Weed them off. Then, before you now start having negotiation with the builders, the residents of those buildings, what we are going to do over a period of time. Why don't you think of relocating them? Give them an accommodation and think before rolling out bulldozer to pull down and make them become homeless. How do you expect? I saw children, I saw women, crying because their homes have been pulled down. It's very unfortunate. You see, any government that brings hardship upon these people is not a government. It is the opposite of what the government is supposed to do for the people. Unfortunately, but that's what we see in Nigeria.
Mr. Elvis,
those are some of the things we see.
In regards to what you have just said, Shehu Sani, a civil rights activist and former senator representing civil rights activism, has urged for another round of EndSARS protests. He claimed that things have not changed at all, that things are still the same, if possible worse. He says, number one, without a credible electoral system that produces legitimate leaders, we will continue to face challenges. The faulty system and process by which people attain positions of power is a major obstacle. He also went ahead to refer to security, which is what you just mentioned, crisis in the education sector, the restructuring debate which has not been visited. These are the questions that he raised up, and he's saying that another round of EndSARS protest should commence. Now, regarding what he talked, about our electioneering process or credible elections, Peter Obi also made reference to that. I just finished reading that before I called you. For Peter Obi, he's of the notion that the system is hugely corrupt, and that is what needs to be worked on. He went on to actually explain quite a lot in that regard. He says that the INEC server was the same as the establishment. The server would not work because it was the establishment that made it so it wouldn't work. In other words, the INEC server is not a problem. It is the institution in charge of the server, or possibly the establishment that controls the system could be faulty. So according to him, he said that Labour Party brought in Amazon. Amazon said that they noticed glitches on their apps anywhere globally, but no glitch was noticed on the RF portal. So he's saying that the problem is it was the glitch of the establishment criminality that was in the system, and that one day we must make the system work. What's your take on his submission and what Shehu Sani is saying? Nigerians actually are tired, but do you think there is a need for that, considering the consequences of the previous one that took place? And is this the time for that kind of thing to be talked about?
Esther, Nigerians some people may not think it's not the time, but there is a limit to where you push human being to, when human beings react the way you don't expect. And that's where we are now. Nigerians are talking of hunger. Then some other person, the government that is supposed to alleviate it, are increasing the problem of Nigerians. You just enumerated some of them. Look at the electricity tariff. I even read today that most of the hospitals are now like monks because they cannot store their drugs because they cannot pay electricity bill. So, these drugs some of these drugs have to have, it kind of temperature that it has to be kept over a period of time before you administer them to patients. Now, because they can no longer pay light bill, those drugs cannot be stored. Imagine such. Then you are not thinking. Then think of the billions that we hear of in the papers every day, cell phone and all that. I mean, answers we saw in 2020 might even be a child's play considering what Nigerians are facing now. I've been on this tour now, Esther, for the past 1 month plus now. A month and a week now I've left Lagos. I'm telling you, it is the same crisis you see in Lagos, the same complaint, the same lamentation you see in Lagos that you see in every part of this nation. So those areas have gone through. So the day the government, the people gets to the end of this, stomaching all this, the government may not be able to contain it. Look at the government. The government are used the.
Go ahead.
The government are used the social media, to propagate themselves into power in 2014, 2015, pulling down every structure of PDP under Jonathan. Then he's talking of banning social media or coming to regulate it.
Because of disinformation.
Regulate it. I mean, talking of regulation. Yes. I mean, talking of regulating it, they've just forgotten Lai Mohammed, who was their spokesperson in 2014, 2015, before he became a minister for 8 years. That social media was what he used all through to pull down PDP and Jonathan's administration that brought them into power. Now they're talking of regulating it because they don't want you and I to speak to Nigerians on what is happening. So when you see all this, coming around me, playing off in the faces of Nigeria every day, then the answers we saw in 2020 may even be a child's play, considering to what may erupt. Everybody is, apprehensive. Nobody knows where the next is going to come from.
Mr.
So
Elvis,
we are
in
praying.
regards to we're still talking on the demolition from the Lagos Coastal Calabar Highway to the demolition in Mende, Maryland, because it's still a topic of interest. The former Vice President of Nigeria, Atiku Abubakar, he described the presence of Sheyi, the son of President Bola Tinubu, on the board of companies owned by Gilbert Chogri as a clear conflict of interest. So on the board, the son of the president is also in the board. According to Atiku, in a statement today through his media aide Paul Ibe, Sheyi is a director on the board of CDK Integrated Industries, a subsidiary of the Chogri Group. Now, the 2023 presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party also accused President Tinubu of simply promoting propaganda with his claims of attracting foreign direct investment to Nigeria. And he cited a report by Paris-based Africa Intelligence News Agency, where it was revealed by the Corporate Affairs Commission that Sheyi is officially a business associate of Chogri. So he's saying that it is not a surprise that the Chogri Group had become the biggest beneficiary of the largesse. He called it the Tinubu largesse. And that he submitted that it has become obvious that the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway is being done in a hurry purely because of the business relationship between President Tinubu and Gilbert Chogri. Now, at this point, don't you consider it a necessity that the president or a media aide should come up and actually talk about this? Because again, the fact that there was no bidding process, the contract was given to this particular group. This group is a close ally of the president, and it's the president's son is on the board, because according to Atiku Abubakar, basically that it is revealed that Sheyi Tinubu is on the board. So this is what is causing the rifts or the growls of a lot of Nigerians as to this particular investment, this project. Is it personally for somebody? What exactly is the true motive? That's the question a lot of Nigerians are asking as regards to this.
Yeah. The reaction of the federal government has actually put out in the mind of Nigerians that it's like a personal project. Well, this Lagos Calabar Coastal Road, because if you look at what is going on, no project has been initiated so fast in Nigeria and take off the way this one took off. Then again, Esther, you ask the big question: where are the civil society organizations? Now, I would have expected that by now the federal government should have been sued to court, to tell the world where the bidding for all that billions of naira, trillions of naira that is going to be used for that route, where it was published, which of the papers that published the bidding, then Nigeria should produce it. I expected the civil society organization to do that. I also expected the Nigeria Labour Congress in collaboration with civil society and all the who is Nigeria. Atiku has just spoken, Obu has spoken. Are those the only persons in Nigeria? These are people that can afford whatever, no matter how difficult it is. You know, in Nigeria they can afford what they need. But the civil society who, you know, pride themselves as the watchdog of the economy or whatever of policies and programs of government, by now I expect them to be in court with the federal government to first of all think of how to put a stop in that project, then let the government show Nigerians where the bidding was done. That's on our part. Then on the other hand, Esther, you will now begin to tell me as where is all other political parties in this matter? We are talking of only two that are just spoken, PDP and probably Labour. Where are the others? Does it mean that every other political party, we have about 18 political parties in Nigeria that contested for that election in 2023. Where are they? These are, if you, I mean, we are a presidential aspirant, you had the mind that you want to bring, you know, good welfare to Nigerians, and you are saying that the government that is in power is not, you know, having anything to do with that welfare. You are supposed to challenge it because you are supposed to be the mouthpiece of all your members who voted for you that may not be able to come up and speak individually. So I expect more to come into this and criticize and let the government know that Lagos Calabar Coastal Road is not a priority to Nigeria as we speak now. It's not part of it. Then the board that you talked of, the president's son is part of Esther. Nigerians know over the years that the Chagori group have been like a business partner with the president Tinubu. It has been over the years. So one wonder, there's no, I mean, it didn't surprise me that they got that contract without going for bidding. I mean, you also asked me where is the lawmakers in all this? We have National Assembly that this thing is supposed to pass through.
Did they approve it? Did they approve it? That's the question. Did they approve it? And why are they quiet?
Esther, you also agree with me. Is this project appropriated for in 2024 budget? Is it part of it? So where is the money for this project being raised? From? Nobody is answering all these questions. So National Assembly is not doing its job. Then civil society organizations are not doing their job.
Even though some other political parties are not. Will be commenced with the subsidy removal money. Because if it's not in the budget, what money? Where are they from? Who's financing it? Is it Chogri Group?
Okay, then you now ask me the big question. The subsidy removal, the money from subsidy removal, is there any organization or institution that this government has set up that is managing that fund since May 2029 that the subsidy has been removed? I've spoken on this matter, Esther, in the studio, that by 1 year after the removal of subsidy, Nigerian government will not be able to account for the trillions that they said has been reinvested into the economy, supposed to be reinvested into the economy after the removal of subsidy, because there is no agency on ground. When PDP removed it, when PDP were talking about removal, they had a Shopee. A Shopee was set up to manage subsidy reinvestment funds. We had it. When Abacha brought in petroleum tax during his administration, he set up PTF.
Yes.
PTF was the money that was coming from it was managed by PTF. We saw PTF tying roads, building hostels for schools and all of that, buying drugs for hospital. But when this administration removed subsidy in May 29 last year, I told you in the studio, Esther, by now we have to have seen an agency that is set up to manage this subsidy fund. Nothing is set up. So the money is coming in and is being shared. So where is the finance? Where is the money for financing this going, and where is the money for financing this gigantic project, Lagos Calabar Coastal Road? Where is it coming from? These are questions Nigeria should ask this government.
And
National Assembly, what are they saying about the National Assembly? Who pride themselves as representing constituencies, in this nation? What are they saying about it? So we have questions. The Nigerians must be able to ask their representative in the National Assembly what is the importance of this Lagos Calabar Coastal highway to them in their respective constituencies.
Even their significance representing their constituencies at the National Assembly, if it feels like they are there to fill up the seats and no one is seeing the proceeds of their representation. Mr. Elvis, thank you so much. I'm going to keep you on the line. However, we need to take calls, all right? The number to call is 0700 903 903 903. That's the number to call, 0700 903 903 903. And the WhatsApp number, or to actually call and chat, is 081 717 56338. 081 175 338. Hello, good evening. Please, when you call, turn off your audio, please. All right, the feedback is distorted and you have a minute. Yes, good evening. How are you?
Yeah, Ms. Wachuku.
Yes, sir. What's your name, please, and location?
You are anchoring the program and always. I love it.
Thank you.
Now,
what's your name, please?
Something.
Your name and location.
Yes, let me say something.
Can you hear me? What is your name? What's your name and location?
Joe from Bariga.
All right, please go ahead then.
Joe from Bariga. So, Esther, this our road. Please, my dear, this regime has just set in. Abi?
Yes.
The regime just came.
Yes.
Abi?
There will be 1 year in a few weeks.
Millions and trillions and trillions and trillions. You know that this road is so necessary that when this road brings down God from God, when they're going to bring God from heaven down to the earth. Why not become priority? Give us the priorities of what you are coming to do for Nigerians. We don't have refineries. Refineries are not working. Our NEPA is not working. All these monies mentioned can solve this problem, can give us at least one sound refinery. Even if we don't want to, repair the old one. These billions, I'm telling you, one good refinery, new one, I can bet you, even if it is for one. But in the other hand, they are telling us that they have mortgaged our oil. That oil has been mortgaged. They use it to borrow $3 billion. So, it's just confusion in the land. We don't know how to
Thank you, Joe.
Issues.
Thank you.
Mr. President of Nigeria.
All right. 0700 903 903 903. We need to make sure that our responses or our contribution is just for a minute so we can take other calls as well. Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Political Spotlight. What's your name?
Yeah, thank you very much. God bless you, Esther.
Thank you. What's your name?
My name is Malam Bello Usman. I am calling from Ijumu.
All right, Malam Bello Usman. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. You see, the coastal railroads we are talking about, for me, as far as I'm concerned as an individual, is my own view. I don't see anything important about that project because we have so many things bothering Nigeria, even beyond that coastal road, or what do you call it, that government did not even look into. We have the issue of refinery that is dilapidated for a very long time. Nigeria has been hearing crying for the putting up of such refineries, and which this money allocated for that project can even refer to these dilapidated projects. But the federal government didn't look into that. And also, you are talking about the national...
Hello? Hey, Malam Bello.
And the senators, that none of them was even against the approval. Yes. So we're talking about political parties, that all of these people there, they are there for their personal interest. You have APC there, we have PDC, we have Labour, we have ABGA. All of them, they are there for their personal interest. They are not there for you. They are all, in fact, I don't know how to describe them. But
so who will be there for us now, Malam? Who will be there for us? That's the big question. If all of these political parties are not there for us, who will now be there for us? Anyone who will be there for us with no personal interest, all right? No selfish motive. Hello, welcome to the Political Spotlight. What's your name?
Hello, good evening.
Yes, good evening. Name and location, please. You have a minute. What's your name? Hello.
So my concern is on Coastal Road. Yes.
Okay.
My name is Ola from Surulere.
All right, Ola.
My concern is on Coastal Road. So number one, the road is very, very important and it's urgent because the government has to finish it within 8 years.
Okay.
So the people that are talking about bidding, they just want to delay the government so that they will use 1 year to do bidding, to go through the bidding. When there is a section in the Procurement Act that you can use a single source and you will be able to fast track your project.
Ola, you said something. You said something. You said 8 years. You said 8 years.
Within the next 4 years, we must see progress. If we don't see progress, people don't look for them again.
Ola, are you referring to 4 years or 8 years?
Are you do that project?
Ola, are you saying that in 4 years this project will be completed, or 8 years?
Because I can't hear you properly.
Oh, okay, sorry.
The government will quickly run whatever to do.
Hello.
This year and next year, by 2026, then the issue of supposed to start from Lagos or Calabar is Lagos not.
Hello, Ola, you're breaking. Oh,
the issue of whether they are starting from Calabar.
Hello.
Hello, yes.
Ola, you're breaking. Hey, you were saying something. What did you say?
Yes, I said the issue of whether they should start from Lagos or Calabar, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Nigeria.
Okay.
They can start from anywhere.
All right.
So
Ola, you said something in your earlier submission.
The issue of whether somebody is on the board, that's non-issue.
Okay. Hello. Ola, your network. The network is not connecting you properly. All right. I really want to hear Ola's final take on this, honestly. 0700 903 903 903. That's the number to call. All right. Hello. Welcome to the Political Spotlight. What's your name? Hello. You're live.
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, my name is Peter. Calling from Badagry.
All right, please go ahead. You have a minute.
Yes, this coastal line from Lagos to Calabar, it has become a news and repeated phrases all the time on the media houses. Okay. Have they started the project? That is what I'm about to ask.
The demolition has commenced now. So for demolition to commence means that the project is to kick off.
Okay, demolition has commenced. So
have you not been following the news? Yes.
What is about the project? Why is Nigeria so pessimistic? They are not sure that the project will be completed like a white elephant project. Why do you think so?
That's a conversation now we're saying. The monies that would engulf
when the demolition has started, because I heard David Mine what he said about the giving away to the road and other analysis he gave. So I don't know if people are so pessimistic about government projects. Whether it's a non-project or whatever.
It's not government project. Your taxpayer money will be used for working on that project. That's why a lot of people are interested. You can't tell people how to feel when things like this will be hugely impactful in their life. All right. Okay. Thank you for your submission. 0700 903 903 903. That is the number to call. 0700 903 903 903. I think we have a call on WhatsApp. Hello. Good evening. Hello. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, good evening. How are you? Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Yes,
hello.
Good evening. Good evening. I can hear you. What's your name, please?
This is Bright. I'm calling from Italy.
From where, please?
From Italy.
All right, Bright. All right, go ahead. You have a minute, please.
Okay. First, I want to correct the impression of I heard some people talking about the refinery in response to the coastal line also that is in place. Let me use this adage. In my place, there's a proverb that says that you can't be in the stream or find yourself in the river and you're with soap and you're complaining that there is the foam of the soap is on your eyes and that you can't see, whereby you're just standing inside the water. So it will be easy for you to wash your face with the water you find yourself in. That is the situation of the refinery. It's like we most of Nigerians have forgotten that NNPC it has been privatized, it has been sold. We should understand that the company has been sold. It is no more a company that belongs to us. We should look at it from that point of view in the first place. That is why the refinery cannot work, because you cannot repair what you don't own. Like that. Because it's no more Nigerian company, it's no more NNPC. I heard it's not a limited company. So if it has been sold, so you can't sell something without, you can't sell the NNPC without selling the refinery as well. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say.
I understand what
so you can't sell the company when you don't sell the refinery as well. So they are it's the same package. So that is why the government cannot cannot put the refinery in place, because it has been sold. It has been mortgaged out. And this issue of this coastal line, I think it's another sham. It's another sham, because let's be factual here. There is no project as big as this in Nigeria that, with these politicians we have today, that have been able to see the light of the day.
Don't you think this will make a difference? While we're predicting doom when we haven't seen the end of it.
Can I tell you something? Do you know why? Do you know why I say that it's a sham? One, there is one of the very important policies in this administration that has to do with the poverty scheme, that every Nigerian who finds themselves below some the salary, the government is going to give them whether 5,000 naira, they're going to share some money. You remember?
Yes.
Now you tell me, you know that some days ago the governor of Lagos State deported some people from Lagos. So if there was a package meant for some particular people who are not well to do in the society, it's not supposed to be meant for these people that were deported. So why do you have to send these people away, and you are telling the people that you have a package that is going to be for some particular persons that are not well to do in the society, and you already have people that you are now sending them to somewhere they will find themselves maybe in another more tight situation, and you say you have so if the government is doing that and it's not promising you a paradise from the coastal line, I think it's a sham. It doesn't work like that.
All right.
Because you have to take the people first, then before the infrastructure, because it is them people that will use the infrastructure you are going to put in place.
That's true. All right, thank you. All right, thank you for calling. Thank you so much. All right, hello, good evening. Hello.
Hello, good evening, Esther Watuku.
Peter Omonse, welcome to the Political Spotlight. Please go ahead.
The Lord is your strength. My name is not Peter Monster, but Peter Usifo from Abanga.
Oh, Peter Usifo. Oh, I'm so sorry. All right, go ahead.
My best new pastor. Thank you very much.
All right.
Yeah, the issue at stake. First, I want to talk on the East-West rules. The impassable East-West rules, in my own opinion, should be rehabilitated by the state government, who I think at the moment, most of them are very, very limited. This rules should be rehabilitated and reimbursed by the federal government. Some state governments have done that in the past. They are complaining of their East-West rules. You know, instead of blaming the federal government, they should blame the state government. Because most of these state governments, when they go to collect tax, what they do next is to change it to dollars and of course buy properties in Europe and America, and of course fly and private jets instead of using this money to do something in their state with the internal revenue, the ideal, which most of them cannot even do. They are always complaining because they are paying oil and they are paying tax in Abuja. So that is that. Then on the Lagos-Calabar coastal highway, to me, in my own opinion too, most of these critics who are criticizing the government are doing so politically. You know, they are overtaking the policy for God's sake. This is what I can say concerning this. In as much as this road, this highway, we put Nigeria in the world infrastructural map, and it will create a lot of, labor for people and the other things. It should leave this.
All right, Peter Osifo, your time has been exhausted. We need to take more calls. All right.
The government is corrupt. One day, the fellow that does not no Joseph will come to play.
All right. Thank you. Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Hello.
What's your name,
I think you
please?
can hear me
Yes,
very
I can
well
hear you.
now.
What's
This is
your name?
Ola from Surulere.
All right, Ola from Surulere. All right, go ahead, Ola.
Yes, thank you very much. So let me talk about the coastal road, as I was saying. So the financing, the man is saying that they did not budget it, the house should probe it. It's because he's ignorant of it.
Oh, really?
Yes, the money is going to be financed with ECPF. So it doesn't need to be budgeted for from the budget. They are not need any allocation from the budget. It's Renew Hope Presidential the Development Fund that they are going to use to finance it. So, like the way they finance Second Niger Bridge with Presidential Infrastructure Development Fund, that is PIDF, that the Buhari used to finance Second Niger Bridge and Lagos Ibadan. When Saraki cut the money in the National Assembly and the money could not be used to pay the contractor they are owing, so they have to come up with another way of financing, which is PID. So for this one, they are using Renew Hope Presidential Development Fund to finance it. So it doesn't have to go to the National Assembly for allocation of any budget. What they just need to do is to have it in National Assembly as being mentioned, but it doesn't need any allocation from them, which they have gotten in this year budget. So the issue of funding doesn't arise. Then the issue of whether we need it is very, very important road for Nigeria.
Right.
The Nigeria is complaining about the unemployment.
Calls. All right, thank you so much. Hello, good evening. What's your name? Can you turn down the your listening device or whatever it is you're listening to the program from? Hello. Hello. Please turn down the. Okay, maybe you will call back. 0700 903 903 903. That's the number to call. You have a minute when you call, please. And when you call, turn off whatever device you're listening to the program from. The feedback is very distorted. All right, 0700 903 903 903. That's the number to call. Let me take some WhatsApp messages. I'm going to start with this. Good evening, Esther. Tinubu's government has not even started dealing with Nigerians yet. Just watch out. Nobody should pity us. This administration has absolutely nothing to offer. You might not agree with me, but time will tell. AY from Mushin. AY, let's be positive. All right, let's be positive. Okay, Dario, I'm going to just read a very short aspect of your message. It's too long. Evening, Esther, there is a saying, when the righteous rule, the people rejoice. But when the wicked rules, the people mourn. The question is, for this 11 months of nightmares, sorrow, tears, and blood due to bad policies that created insecurity that turns the country to a gangster paradise. Okay, Dario, this is too long, all right? Thank you. Please try to just make your question or your submission as short as possible. So somebody's saying that the federal government should channel this money and construct 4th mainland bridge. I'm surprised everyone is keeping silent on this critical time in Nigeria. It's pathetic, seriously. National Assembly is below rubber stamp, so let's forget about National Assembly. Who ward infrastructural map help, I beg. Please next time put your name. All right. Okay, this is Senate from Iyano Solo. Senate, that's your name? Just Senate. Okay. All right. I think these are basically the messages that we have on WhatsApp. We can take more calls so that Mr. Elvis can round up the conversation with us. 0700 903 903 903. That's the number to call. Hello.
Yeah. Good evening.
Yes. Good evening. What's your name?
Yeah, I'm Sonny by name. However, I want to say.
Tony, where are you calling from?
Casablanca.
Casablanca.
Yeah.
All right, Tony, go ahead, please.
So, this issue of a coastal road project, you see, Nigeria has enormous problem. In 64 years of our existence, we don't have stable electricity. And electricity plays a key role in every economy. You cannot manufacture. You cannot do anything. In fact, you cannot function properly. Our potential can never be realized without electricity. Most places in Nigeria sees electricity, let me say, less than 20-30 hours a month, an entire month. and they pay bill. And we have been on this cycle for many years. My question is, why won't Nigeria as a country stand on one particular project and finish it? We know that this one will have stamped this as any other country in the world. Why do we keep running circle in the same point, deceiving ourselves every day? Why are we this greedy not to make Nigeria a country to live, a place to call home, really? You know, these guys who are doing this issue of this coastal road, I heard some people who are defending them saying that it's a way to create jobs. But to create a massive job, you need to make the power available, supply people electricity. Let there be 24 hours electricity, so people can manufacture, people can produce. We stop giving out our money to China, to many countries of the world whom we import from. Those money will be there, we circulate it among us, and we'll have prosperity, shared prosperity. Everybody will prosper. Those who are creative, the bank will reduce interest rates. This is what government does. They instruct the bank to reduce interest rates so that they can be able to lend money and manufacture.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your submission. All right. We need to round up the program. We have another program coming up in the next 5 minutes. Thank you for your time. Okay. Mr. Elvis, it's time for me to know what your submission is based on all the responses of the callers. Few are basically in support of what the government is doing. And a lot of people are saying that this development is not necessary now, that there are pending issues to be worked on rather than the Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway. What's your take on that, Mr. Elvis, in a minute?
Yeah, Esther, thank you. I want to quickly remind this administration that in 3 weeks from now, this administration will be 1 year old in office. And I also want Nigerians to juxtapose it and let Nigerians know whether they have actually felt the impact of this administration positively in their life for this past 1 year. Then if it is a capital no, then this administration has to go back to the drawing board and redesign the welfare of Nigerians, not white elephant projects that will not benefit Nigerians in the next 4 years. We need immediate projects that will immediately alleviate the suffering of Nigerians. That's what we should be talking about now. They have 1 year gone, 3 years ahead. By the second year, I think they should go back to the drawing board and redesign their strategies so that Nigerians will not troop out to the street. And another instance we saw in 2020 will not repeat itself in a much more worse situation than 2020 and SARS.
Mr. Elvis Elimehele, I want to say thank you so much for taking your time to give us a breakdown on the topics that we talked about today. It was quite a lengthy one, and would I say the matter no they end for now. They end. Now. We're going to talk about them. All right, you can follow Mr. Elvis Elimehele on all social media platforms. All right, thank you, Mr. Elvis, for your time. Okay, and it's a wrap right here on the Political Spotlight. My name is Esther Wachuku. Follow me on YouTube at Estic Media, ESTIQMEDIA, and of course across other social media handles as well. Make sure you have a wonderful Sunday evening. Bye for now.